If we all believe that relationships are hard work, then this is what we are going to get. Words, the beliefs, the way we think is a very powerful approach to our reality. Several years ago, I said no to this paradigm and I started to invest really deeply in my relationship skills, understanding the underlying patterns, mechanics, blueprints, things at play. And oh my gosh, I realized that most of us invest more into our career than into our social skills. At that point, I had very clear we need something new. So 5 years ago, I founded Modern Couples, the antidote to couples therapy, because I believe that there is a group of people who wants to proactively learn these things much rather than wait until the shit hits the fan. There's a group of people out there, and you are probably one of them, and that's why you're here, who has no time for bad relationships. In this podcast, we talk about inspirational stories, role models, how to navigate the good, the bad, the ugly, and raise the bar, showing up for each other and for love. I speak with experts from different fields that potentially have never thought about how their expertise applies to relationships, but it does. And I share my own entrepreneurial journey. We talk about love, purpose, and growth. I invite you to listen up, not just with your ears, but with your heart. And share your aha moments, because that's what's going to rewire your brain to 10x your love. I am honored and I have the pleasure of speaking with Caitlyn Cook today. Caitlyn is international practitioner and facilitator in mindful somatic healing, informed by internal family systems. She works with people to heal trauma and knotty issues in their mind. Like, just to pronounce it correctly,
Not,
like
yeah,
knotty.
naughty.
Yeah. It's like the German accent. I just wanted to make sure. Knotty issues in their mind, relationships, family dynamics, sexuality, and purpose. Her influences include Bwiti, an African spiritual tradition, which I will ask you more about in just a second, Tantra, and mindfulness. She's also a facilitator with ISTA, an international school for sacred sexual shamanism. And yeah, welcome to this interview. Hi, Caitlyn.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I'm very much looking forward to this.
Yes, yes. I stumbled over your work when you were just around my neighborhood here, and you were facilitating a workshop on internal family systems here.
Hmm.
And I was like, I know family systems. That was part of my coaching, like that term, and
Hmm.
working with constellations. But I wanted to see, maybe you could explain a little bit more on what is actually internal family systems. But before we go to that, tell me actually from your side, what is your mission in life? Let's make it more personal in the beginning. Like, what would you say drives you learning all these things that you do, that you offer? um, who are you? What is your mission in life?
Mm, beautiful question. Um, I mean, the way that I started with all of this was not about serving people or healing the world or anything like this. Like, it was just serving myself and healing myself. Somebody, please, like, fix this hot mess kind of thing. Um, And in fact, when I first began, I was about 24 and I was at university, super academic, really allergic to anything spiritual or like well-being related. And but I had disordered eating. I had big body image issues, and that related a lot to. I mean, the thing is that you take your body everywhere you go with you. When you get dressed, when you go to the interview, when you go on your date with somebody, when you go to bed with somebody, when you meet their parents, like all of these things, your body is there. And for me, it was like a big challenge. So in many parts of my life, I kind of felt this tension, this stuckness, this frozenness, this high self-criticism and judgment. But I really noticed it in the sexual part of my life. And so then I started to explore first mindfulness therapy. And then that was awesome. But I really wanted to like explore this stuff in practice, not just talk about it. And then that led me to Tantra and like Tantra in the West. And yeah, that's kind of where it opened for me. It was very hesitant as well, because now it started to go like mindfulness was sort of on the edge where it was like scientifically proven.
Yes,
But
like
then you're observing your mind and you're listening and you're doing these things which kind of edge yourself quite close to meditation and to prayer. And yeah, so it sort of like opened this process for me, and then tantra happened, and yeah, and then the healing journey continued and continued. And then the more that started to find freedom for myself, the more I just wanted to like tell my friends about it. Like, come to this workshop with me. Like, whoa, it's amazing. Like, this thing happened. Like, I feel like okay with myself a little bit more. And so that's kind of how it began. Like, I just wanted to like share it with the few people around me. And then, yeah, more and more people really enjoyed me sharing it with them. And at the time, it was also like more than 10 years ago. So there wasn't as much available, especially for people who are like very intellectual. They like nice design, like they're not like the kind of classical hippies. Um, so yeah, anyway, that's how it began, and I really love to learn more about it, like to kind of like develop and hone the craft of like how does the mind work? How do relationships work? What's really going on? And why do things become so knotty, not naughty? But like how does that happen, and what are the different levels? Because one is like there's physical, then there's energetic, then there's psychological, then there's spiritual. Like what's going on at all of these levels that's producing this in the material world? So that's how that happened. That's why this is my life now.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think many can relate, especially the like as a first entry point, really with the body. And I find it so interesting that sometimes when you think you start with nutrition and all of a sudden you are in the mindful tantra world, for example, like right, like for me, like I can relate in some part of these ways, and I find it so interesting because sometimes when we say like all paths lead to Rome or everything is in the end one, to really
Yes.
understand like it's not like you start with one thing and then the other is a surprise, like they are connected and they infuse each other, inspire
Yeah.
each other, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's no longer a fight with the food because you are just feeling happy on let's say in the mindfulness level, better with your thoughts, better with tantra, and all of a sudden your whole eating changes as well, and all
Yeah.
is connected. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
I kind of feel like sometimes like wellness is sort of just like a lake full of many different qualities of peace and self love and compassion and all these different things. And so whenever we're without that wellness, we're noticing how that is in our sexuality and our relationships and our nutrition, in our family dynamics, whatever. And then as we start to come back, we're all coming back to the same place. It's not like there's like wellness in relationships and then wellness in your body. They're not actually different. It's wellness.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Was there for you, were there like life events or things leading you towards the the teachings that you now pass on? I mean, you've been in the well-being wellness world exploring different workshops, but internal family systems was your calling, Bwiti, tantra, shamanism. So like these were aspects that you really teach and make sure they are in your profile and people hear it. Like what was it in those that inspired you, and were there events where you really felt like, oh yeah, this helped me really use it? And
Mm.
mhm.
Yeah, I kind of think of it as like a kind of holy trinity in my life. And yeah, it's like things that really, really work, like precisely get to the point and shift something that gets my attention. And yeah,
I
so
relate.
right. Yeah, so when I first discovered ISTA, the International School of Temple Arts, is this 1 week retreat of spiritual sexual shamanism. And it's really an exploration of, well, first your relationship with yourself, and then your relationship with others and the beyond. And it's really bringing that relationship into a place of wellness, into a place of harmony and realness. So that was huge for me. And when I first went, I didn't really want to go. And in fact, I mean, I knew I had to go. Like there was something about it, but it was also, this was like many years ago, and I didn't like the design on the pamphlet. Like it used really bad font. And it was just like not my style, you know? And then I arrived and I just didn't feel like it was like necessarily my people. But it was also just my resistance looking for every single thing to be like, this is why we should leave. This is why we should not do this. Um, but eventually, my resistance came with me, but it didn't. It wasn't such like alarm bell going off. And then by the end of the week, like something had transformed. I came for something, I got that, but then there were all these things that I didn't know were actually part of like the bricks of the obstacle. You know, there's like all these things in the way of where I want to go. And I think I know how to solve it, but then actually there's all these other parts of it that I have no idea about. For example, one of them for me was boundaries and saying what I really want and saying what I really don't want. Like, I want this, I don't want this. Up until that point, I had just never truly felt permission to express that. So yeah, and your question was about like what were like the life things that put me onto like doing ISTA or doing the stuff. And for me, ISTA was just like I'd been to a tantra workshop and it was very cool, but it was just a little taste. And this was at a festival years ago, and I knew that I wanted more. And then 2 years later, I ended up going to this ISTA program. But I just knew that I was still working on this body image stuff. I'd like mostly healed a lot of it, but it was just like going to the next level of like, I'm good. I'm at ease in myself. And yeah, and I just knew that I had to go, and then I did. And something powerful happened. And for the rest, for the internal family systems, that was a beautiful suggestion from a friend who knew I was going through a hard time. And it was a kind of new way of digesting the things that are a bit stuck. And rather than, so one of the interesting things with internal family systems is that it looks at whatever's going on, it understands that there are different parts of ourselves. So there's one part of me that wants to start the business. There's another part that does not want to start the business because that might mean I might fail. People might see me fail. I don't want that. So one part wants to like shine and use my talent, another part doesn't. And then there's all these parts that are yes, that are no, that are super critical, that are encouraging, like this. And rather than like some other ways of dealing with that is just to try and push the voice down, just push down the criticism, just don't listen to it and just ignore it. But all of these parts have a positive intention, actually. And none of these parts are bad. They just kind of got forced into these roles to try and protect you. And so this new model was like a way of digesting the tensions, but without making more tension by forcing things away. It's like actually really more harmonious to bring things together. And also through the body. So it's like a somatic process. So this is like, the subconscious speaks through the body. If you have an anxious feeling, it's a feeling in the body. Like you can feel this like tightness in your chest or this knot in your stomach. And you might have images, you might have memories, you might have thoughts. This is how the subconscious speaks. And so internal family systems was this really cool, powerful way to start to contact these things deep down in me through the body and without the kind of like, like wrestling these parts out, but actually bringing them into harmony. And
I
it's
mean,
been a powerful
is
thing.
is there just for me like to bring that together because sometimes I work with inner children, sometimes I work with more of the young archetypes, the warrior, the king, like with these inner voices or inner parts. Sometimes I work with the inner critic, or with like I have some names for these things, and
Yeah.
would like, is there ultimately a game plan of like, we each have like these 28 types? Because I always feel like there is a never ending. It helps to sometimes name the inner voices, to mentally structure and let them speak, take them on the stage, feel what they feel why they are there.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can get overwhelming to really go down into, oh, this is my 12-year inner child, and it's the critica of my 12-year inner child, or it like can go very nuanced. But I do find it empowering, like to honor that all this is me.
Yeah.
And even in the future, right, to bring in my future self, my higher self,
Mm-hmm.
my future, the future mother I want to be, like to also work with future
Yeah.
systems.
Yeah. So it's an interesting part of the internal family systems protocol where it understands these parts, and these parts try and help you by knowing by doing what they can do pretty well. And sometimes there might be criticism, and they're trying to help you by criticizing you so much so that you do better or you don't do the thing at all. So it's interesting how the same tool can be used for different things, but just so that you're staying safe. And what often happens is that these parts, they don't realize that actually you're here, you, yourself. The self that is, it's not a part. It's actually the deepest truth of yourself. And so in the internal family systems process, these parts actually get introduced to the self and start to learn that they're not the only one doing this job, and that that's why they can relax. And if you're here to look after yourself and to keep yourself safe, then how else do they want to spend their energy? And usually these parts are super overwhelmed, really tired, feel like they're just hanging on in their job, and if they could please get some help, it would be really good. Like this inner critic, or the one that feels that you need to finish everything on your to-do list or else it's a disaster. If that part could know that it's safe, that you're here to look after you, yeah, there's never been a time that a part is like not thrilled by that offer.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of the game plan, I guess you could say.
Yeah. I feel like I wanna share a recurring coaching fear or coaching moment that comes up in some of the couples that I coach, and maybe we can look at it from one of the tools that you have to bring that
Great.
in. Like something that happens when you go into a coaching journey, or when you go into a workshop, a seminar, might be, and I see it more often in the masculine, or let's say in the person in the more masculine body energy pole, which is the fear of losing yourself. As we are changing, or with the demands from her, he's all of a sudden fearing, I'm like, will in the end of this still be something left of me? I fear I'm losing myself.
Mm,
And I see like a recurring pattern of that fear in the masculine, whereas I see a recurring fear in the feminine, which is like, will you still be there? Like I fear that I'm too much, and I fear I need to slow down, I need to be less, because with all the demands that I make, you fear you are losing yourself. But no, like I want us to change together. Like how, what,
mm,
what do I tune back? And then I try to widen the perspective, but maybe we can gain some understanding on these recurring fears,
hmm.
with some part that might be in all of us, I wonder.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's an interesting one. Um,
Short interruption, because this message really needs to go out there. The quality of your relationships impacts the quality of your life. It is, in fact, the key factor. And here we are fearing and shying away from commitment, shying away from the emotional work, when really this is what distinguishes us from the machines, embracing emotions and learning how to embrace differences. So modern couples, what started out as the small coaching business has turned into a university, or I like to call it a universe. It is the place where ambitious leaders can upgrade their relationship skills upfront. It is the place where couples turn to when they wonder, should I stay? Should I go? Where we explore, if necessary, the graceful path of uncoupling. And it is also the place where we newly introduce bespoke matchmaking for ambitious individuals. If you are interested in any of that, because really every phase of life is an opportunity to grow your relationship skills, check out modern-couples.com. Once a month, there's a free masterclass where you can meet me, where we can connect, as well as if you like more the one-on-one approach, there is a limited amount of free discovery calls. See that you can get hold of one of them, and I hope we get to connect. I look forward to elevating your relationship.
So the first kind of step is like whenever these fears are coming up, is first to just really let yourself feel it in the body. And it's this thing, if you want to heal it, you have to let yourself feel it, which is such a sometimes annoying thing because it's like that we don't want to feel it. That's why these protective mechanisms come in for, I don't know, scrolling Instagram instead of feeling the feeling, or just picking a fight so that you don't have to feel this feeling of rejection, or, you know. So that would be the first thing I would say, is like whenever one of these tensions is coming up, is just to let yourself actually feel it. And this is actually one of the principles of the self, is that it's the self is patient, it's compassionate, and it's not something you need to develop as well. It's not like, okay, I need to be more patient, I need to be more compassionate. No, you already are. That's who you are. It's only the parts that get in the way that are like making you not feel that. But already, if you're just taking a moment with that, whatever's coming up, already you're a little bit more in yourself. And then just to notice what comes up. Like, what does that mean for you when somebody's making so many demands? Like, what does that remind you of? What does that make, like, what goes on for you? And I would just get really curious about, like, what does that mean? Because there can be the demands, but then it's like, what does that mean that makes me then react? And it's like maybe feeling like I don't matter, that it's all about you and it's nothing about me. Or maybe it's that it could be invisible. It could be that if I do have something, that it's going to be too crazy, that you'll reject me if I actually say what I want. So there's like a fear of rejection. Like there could be so many actual things underneath that first resistance. And same for her, if she's making a lot of requests and then feeling them not being received, like how does that feel? What goes on? And then what does that remind you of? And then what bubbles up after that? And where do you notice that in your body? So I think it's really a doorway, and just to get really curious about like what's really going on, what's coming up when this happens.
I feel like a lot of the seminars, the teachings, the skills that our generation, that you and I, that many of us are learning, is really centered around feeling the feels,
Yes.
and sometimes it's so mind blowing that some of the most humane things, or some of the things that should be so natural for us, are so forgotten. Like, and I wonder, like, are we really the generation, the first generation that gets the words to describe a process of how to feel feelings that makes us feel safe when we actually feel them? And like, no matter which angle I come, I feel it's all about, okay, hanging with my feelings as the number one skill to be in a relationship, to be human,
Yes.
what actually, differentiates us from AI that is going to help us think faster, but it's not going to help us feel. And like, it's one of the super tools where I feel like, what, like, how can it be feelings drive every action? The whole world is so stimulated by feelings. and we are just beginning to learn how to hang with a feeling.
Yeah. It is. I love what you said also about AI. It's true. It's like we can think that it's this kind of what it like is it prosthetic, like something that you can attach to yourself to make you more you. But it's true that actually one of the most fundamental, I mean, there's your soul, there's your spirit, there's yourself. It's never going to be that. But actually the feeling capability is yeah, not something AI can help with.
Mm-mm.
It can help you a little bit understand your feelings. Like if you talk to AI and tell AI like what's going on, like maybe it can help you to understand what's going on a little bit more, but to actually feel it, and that's where the healing happens. To
Yes.
heal it, you need to feel it.
Yes, yes. Like I
Yeah.
noticed these moments. I mean, in couples, I can like in couples, one of the things to teach is how can I find empathy for my partner and really allow myself to feel what my partner is feeling for a moment, right? Like consciously, can I hang in there together in that feeling? But for example, when I write with a chat bot, with an AI bot, and they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," blah, blah, blah. And the reply to whatever I share is a feeling, "Oh, this makes me angry," "Oh, I feel disappointed." Then it's like an AI replying saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry," this and that, and I don't feel received. I feel like, no, you don't know how
Mm,
it feels. No. and, and just
right.
because you say the word, it's sometimes also in relationships, just because you say sorry, I don't feel that you're actually with
Yes.
me in that, right? And it's like for all these moments when we fear AI is taking over, it's an even greater invitation to really learn what it means to be human and to create human, imperfect, emotional moments of aliveness.
Mm, yeah. It's interesting though, just to talk more about AI for a moment, because there is such a, like you were saying, that maybe we're the generation in the West that has learned again how to feel and how to bring that back into like normal everyday relating to yourself, to others. But in general, there's a resistance to feeling. There's a resistance to feeling pain. Sometimes there's a resistance to feeling joy, but mostly to pain. And so there's numbing, there's addictions, there's like being overworking, being super busy, everything not to feel, or just distracted, or my mind numbing myself. And I feel like AI is an interesting one because in a way it kind of adds to that. Like it makes it easier not to feel as well. Like and kind of tricks us into thinking that maybe we are interacting with someone, but it's not someone who's feeling you. And the whole, it's like feeling just got taken down one with AI. So it's, I think it's one to actually really, oh, and I mean, we could talk about like what AI will do for relationships, like chat bot relationship kind of stuff. But that's like, yeah, something that, yeah, it can never do is the feeling.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I believe in the pendulum movement, and like the past years were, yeah, more focused. The past decades were more focused on, really career focus, making the most use of your head, of your brain, specializing in a skill, blah, blah, blah. And now that we are at the stage where potentially machines might take over that part, it's really about bringing like tuning more into the emotional intelligence, tuning in to feeling safe
Yeah.
with yourself.
Yeah.
And like the one thing, um, potentially even really like tuning in with love and the uniqueness of love, and what like we can see sadness in our face, and it's a universal somewhat. I was smiling and showing sadness, but like there is signs across the world, right? In all civilizations where we see they are happy, they are sad, they are
Mm,
angry, right? We have like the five basic feelings. But then I think love, the more I work on the subject of love, the more I feel we are only just beginning to understand the uniqueness and the magic and the potential of love. Also because many of us have not seen that in, we have love in our family, but we have not necessarily all seen like this mind-blowing love, the potential of it, the potential it sets
mm,
free. And I feel like there is a beauty really in diving into that world. But yeah, that's just one of my philosophic outreaches. So yeah, we're tricky
yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, it's the foundation of everything, and it's what we're actually all drawn to. It's like the plants getting drawn to grow towards the sun. Like that's what we're growing towards.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in terms of wellness, like love is inside that lake of wellness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about Bwiti.
Bwiti.
Yes, I'm particularly curious. I have a little bit of an African American, so African heritage, and I have like some books on Kudushka here. Like when I stumble over some African traditions, I feel like yeah, it's such a huge continent. I'm always grateful if I find an expert who can somewhat bring some energy closer to me. So, what is there in wisdom from
Yeah.
Bwiti?
Yeah, it's a pleasure to talk about it. So we were talking about Esther before. We were talking about internal family systems, and then there's Bwiti, the third in my holy trinity. And yeah, I came across. Well, first I came across iboga, and iboga is a plant medicine. People think it's a little bit like ayahuasca because it's really strong and it makes you. It opens your perception. So you can see things. You can see things about yourself. You can see things about your relationships, your family, the world. It can, and you see things about the universe. It opens your, yeah, your sight. And inside of that, you can, yeah, do some deep cleaning and some deep reprogramming and receive a lot of good things. It's like it's really opening this kind of channel for things to come out and things to come in. And so I first discovered this medicine. Um, and that was a very powerful experience for me. Yeah, it was really wonderful.
Feel
And
free to share
oh,
freely here. Like
right,
we
okay.
have a whole talk on plant medicine, but also you don't have to go all in there, but feel free
Yeah,
to talk about it. Yeah.
yeah. So it's I think for me especially because I was already in therapy. I'd already done ISTA by that stage a few times. And there was progress, but there were some things that were just like crystallized around my mind that just like held me kind of in a prison in a way in my mind. So like I smiled, I had my outfits, I did my life, but I was in this prison. And even with the things I was doing, which were amazing, like there were some things that just could not crack this, yeah, the prison. And but then after I ate this medicine for the first time, it just got through these barriers in my mind that was really amazing. And again, not things that I thought I knew what my problem was. And then when I ate the medicine, it was like, no, honey, this is your problem. Like these are like little things, but like check this out. Yeah. And so I was like, wow, this was something, really. If this is what the medicine is like here, imagine what it's like in the context of the tradition where it's from, on the land where it's from,
Mm.
by people who are trained for years, for generations to work with this medicine. What then? And so I went maybe like a year and a half later, 2 years later, to get initiated in the Bwiti tradition in Gabon, in Central Africa. It's like it's on the equator. And it was astounding, amazing. And there is something about being in Africa as well, because it's the land, but it's also the people. And for me, the ritual was wow, but somehow the people are a medicine for me. The
Mhm.
way they move, the way they talk, the way they embody their sexuality, the way that they are really connected with the nature inside of themselves, the way that they don't carry shame like I was carrying shame, just naturally, not because I've been to years of therapy. It's just generations of being raised like this, you know? So by osmosis, I was also just like drinking in their transmission, um, their kind of glow of, yeah, it's just super inspired. And so I was initiated in the Bwiti Fang, it's one branch. And then there's also another branch called the Bwiti Misoko. And yeah, this was like, it's kind of like yin and yang. They're both amazing, but they're both very different and both use the same kind of principles of the science, the spiritual science. and they both use iboga. So yeah, and also just super inspired by the people, these like lioness women, just being lioness badass people, like, oh yeah, really something. And actually amazing to see relationships between them as well, how they do relationships. It's I mean, it's a little different to the West in many ways, but there's just something really natural about how they flow with each other and how they respect the masculine and the feminine and know how to cultivate these things and then bring them together so that like a pop happens. And like it's like used like an alchemical substance. Like they were like keeping it in the laboratory here, keeping it in the laboratory here, and then poof. Um
When they
yeah,
come together.
yeah, yes, exactly. It's
Like,
it's
can you elaborate on that? It, like, I feel like I have a personal moment here, but I have goosebumps as you are sharing this, and
yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
amazing. This is stuff that's been passed on. Like I had this realization just before I left Gabon. I'm in Portugal now. Um, that it's an inheritance. You know, like when you inherit something from your parents, they're giving you like their treasures. Like this is the thing I'm going to give to you, so that the rest of your life you have this, and you can be rich. You know, you can be wealthy. Yeah, that's and then the West, it's usually like a house or some money or something like this. In Gabon and in you know much of Africa, the inheritance is the tradition. These are the principles that if I give these to you, you will have them inside of yourself, you will use them in your life, and you will be wealthy inside yourself, inside your relationships, inside your mind. So yeah, it's amazing. And in terms of the masculine and the feminine coming together and popping, so say in the Bwiti Misoko, there's initiation for women and there's initiation for men, and you're separate. So the women are working together and the men are working together. And then at a certain point, there's a ritual that brings the energies together. And it's this really, okay, so like speaking honestly, for me, it feels a bit like having sex. In that, like the kind of good sex, gourmet sex, the kind of experience where, because also it's at night, it's hot. There's like people are carrying flames. Also, there's a moment where you dance with fire, which is part of the ritual, because it's not just about eating iboga. It's a whole ritual. There's many different tools they're using to help you go where you need to go. But in this one ritual where they bring the masculine and the feminine together, it's hot. There's lots of movement of like spiraling together. We're all together. There's like 100 people all in this kind of spiral. You kind of forget which way is up or down. And it's fun because nothing in this tradition is not fun. I mean, it's hard. It's hard work as well. But it's like there's dancing, there's singing, there's moving your body, there's like rhythm, there's it's joyful. It's not like it's not work, you know? And so
mm-hmm.
this whole thing is like, then there's just this feeling that life has been created. The masculine and the feminine are coming together, and there's something that just arrived. You know, you can feel the pressure changing. And then that continues. And we're like, okay, now this like spaceship is lifted. And then we continue. But it's actually one of my favorite parts of this whole ritual, which goes for many days.
Oh, I'm like, someone raise your hand if you want to be in this ritual, and I'm sure like everybody is raising their hand. It's like, how come we are so deprived of such rituals, right? Like the and healthy inclusion of life energy, welcoming life source energy, initiations, and really, like if we talk about us being the generation who just learns about emotions, it's not like they were not there, but somehow the like we were not initiated to be with those energies, with feelings, with some of this knowledge, and just hearing about it from what you share, I'm like, yes, like we are human, we are meant to be in a tribal setting, we are meant to be supported to go through initiation, supported to find a, be it a mate or a mating situation. It's like it's meant to happen like that, and it's meant to, like, the tribe is there to support you, be your fullest self, free of shame. And it doesn't have to be hard work. Like some of the things you said, it was just like why are we still debating about it here in our society, that relationships are hard work? Why are we still debating about women are from Venus, men are from Mars, and making it a problem, much rather than really like embracing it and you know,
Yeah.
honoring that we lack these traditions that actually support that. And life is meant to be joyful and meant to be juicy and meant to be rhythm and dance and heat and
Yeah.
all of that. So as you're describing that, I'm like close to tears. I'm like, yes, this is what life should look like.
Yeah. And it was for us. There was just a moment where we began to not do that. And then the next generation didn't do it. And then the generation after that totally forgot about that thing. And then there became another focus. And so, yeah, there was something very, because the interesting thing is that the Bwiti tradition, the Bwiti Misako especially, it comes from the forest. So it's like if you can think of the forest as the teacher, that's the one that's like telling what to do. And the forest is just an expression of the universe because it's just principles of nature. The forest happened because it's following kind of like an algorithm of laws of like positive and negative, of high and low. Like this is all the forest is. And so, and then the Bwiti tradition is kind of like birthed from that. And then the everything that you're kind of learning inside of it is just learning how to connect with that nature inside of yourself. And that's what they're really good at, which is why I love to just like be in that kind of like ocean of this ritual, because it's like people who really really deeply connect with the nature inside of themselves without judgment and without shrinking or the fears that go along with, you know, when we start to get disconnected from ourselves. So yeah, it's very special, but it's also just natural to us. It's just a matter of like coming back and being like, oh yeah, that's right.
I remember.
Yeah, it's codes inside of ourselves.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for bringing, sharing the Trinity, awakening that in me as well. Like I could really feel it. Maybe I would like to last explore something that is currently of interest to you, because this was a little bit of like, oh, exploring, you know,
Yeah.
all your skills, and I could really feel them. But what is currently of interest to you in the world of relating, like maybe a new discovery? Like, what are you excited about these days?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So the thing that I'm really noticing is the way that relationship dynamics play out, and the way that there's things going on in the relationship that you're not conscious of. So there's like a whole theater playing out, but you don't even realize that you're doing it. For example, not saying what you really want. Okay, I'm just going to talk about myself here actually, because this is how I know. This is how I've started to notice it. Not saying what I really want. And this is like, you know, coming from someone who's an ISTA facilitator, and I teach people about how to feel what they want and to express that. So I do that a lot, and I do that, yeah, in many ways. About like, I said I'd go to the beach, but I'm actually incredibly exhausted today and I just don't think I can. So I need to look after myself and let's go tomorrow. And so I say this kind of thing. But there are also these ways that my subconscious, these parts, still kind of like try and keep control, just don't say anything. Don't ask for too much. Don't say anything that's going to rock the boat. Don't do anything that's going to disturb. Just please them, and then everything will be okay and the relationship will continue. That's what this part is saying. And then me and my conscious mind, I'm like, yeah, I say what I want and I express my needs. This is my conscious part. And then it's not until later that I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. Like this whole time I've been like majorly people pleasing in this way and totally denying my needs, what I actually, what would make me feel good. And yeah, it's like there's someone, it's like I'm living in a house and there's a door that I just don't open, and there's like a whole family living back there doing all sorts of stuff. And then I open the door and I'm like, oh my God, you guys are living in this house with me? Like, I just didn't know. And so I'm having compassion for myself to just be like, wow, these levels of the mind and the psyche and the subconscious. And also the levels, because the interesting thing about the parts is that usually these parts are working in tandem with each other. So I have my like people pleaser part, and then it has a really nice little blanket of invisibility because there's another part that's like, but we don't want Caitlyn to see this because we don't want to change this. This is going to help. So it's just like keep that out of her awareness and make her look over there. And so I'm also just like noticing how all of these parts fit together. This part that just wants to like keep the relationship going or whatever, it's because it's really precious and it doesn't want to lose that. So it does whatever it can. Like it's also like a really yeah, it's a precious part, but it's not one that I want to be running my relationship. Is the only thing. So this is what I'm very interested in at the moment, like the very deep subconscious parts that are actually more in charge than we think they are.
And this is like being 10 years in the mindfulness bubble, and then like there's a moment when you think like, okay, I'm now, I catch my thoughts, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, there's a whole new level to explore of other subconscious patterns. And
Yeah.
like the awareness that, or once this knowing that there are things I don't know that I don't know, it really makes you feel humble around, okay. And that's why we are in relationships, right? To hopefully more often see a mirror, or like catch us in these moments, or see where there's even something deeper. And it's not always that we have to change it, but I do find it like I do enjoy the becoming aware of it and like catching myself in these moments, or like seeing, oh wow.
Yeah, because it's that thing that if you're not conscious of it, then it just goes on playing as a program in the background. But then once you become conscious of it, then you can see it, like how it plays out in your life. And then also then having a bit more of a choice of like, okay, so what would happen if I did actually say, or I'm actually, first of all, feeling a bit of tension right now that we're going to the beach, but I actually don't want to. So, first, just noticing that in the body. And then what would it be like to actually just say what I want and what comes up when I give myself that offer? And maybe that's horrifying. But maybe it's like, oh, maybe I could just table that and see. So well, like you asked me before about what motivates me and the work that I do. And I mean, I think the base thing for me is freedom for myself, to create freedom for myself, but to help people become free. Yes. And this is, I think, number one, becoming free in your mind and free from these patterns that maybe are not really serving you for your for your wellness, to be in that lake of wellness, and for your relationship to be floating in this lake of wellness. So yeah, I do think it's important to bring this stuff into awareness when it's ready to be aware. Yeah.
Freedom, I love that. Yes.
Yeah. And you were talking about love before, so we make a good team.
Yes.
I mean, they're two sides of the same coin. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. And they are amongst my top four values, both of them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What are your other two?
Um, so I used to have them on my wall. Oh, this is going to be an awkward one of like, what are the other ones? There is joy and sensuality.
Mm, nice.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm such a value-driven person. There are many values. Sometimes I have to think about what is my company values, what is my personal values,
Yes.
what is a principle, what is a value.
Right.
So I'm
Yeah.
just thinking, no, like nature is up there as well. Was nature number 3 or not? Like, was that a principle? To having a discussion right now. No, freedom and love are like omnipresent. They were like right there.
They're solid.
Yeah, and I know it's 4 because it's a compass, but like, yeah, it's no longer on my wall, and I need to put it up again. I'm just reminded. Oh, okay, Caitlyn, we are coming to an end. I would like to check in the end. Is there something where you feel like, oh, this is left to say, or this is something I couldn't, like the door opened and I would still like to share? Is there something left for you to say on our discussion, on our shares? And also, how can people get in contact with you?
I actually feel like our conversation feels really like I would love to have another conversation with you another time. and, but for now, I feel like we touched all the pieces really nicely, and so I'm feeling good about that. And if people want to be in touch with me, they can find my contact info on my website, caitlyncook.com. Caitlyn with a Y, but I guess you'll have all the information written. People can see my name. And then I'm also on Instagram, hey Caitlyn Cook. And then if people want to find out about Bwiti and Bwiti initiations, we'll also include that as a link. And it's bwitiinitiations.com. And we also have Instagram, Bwiti Initiations. So yeah, thank you so much for having me. What a wonderful way to spend my afternoon. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for the conversation. It was an honor having you here, and you definitely, I will check out that website. I am hooked. Imagine a world where emotional mastery, relational support, and inner work come before heartbreak, resentment, divorce, reactivity. And you know what increases the odds of your 10x kind of love? Taking people along, sharing this with the people that have the biggest influence on you. If you like this podcast, please subscribe to my channel and share it with 1 or the 5 people that have the biggest influence on you and that deserve the 10x kind of love. Let's raise the bar stronger together.